You see, as long as you believe your life is happening to you, that your boss is making you miserable, that the economy is holding you back, that your spouse doesn't understand you, you'll remain a victim. And victims don't bounce back. They can't. They're too busy pointing fingers. But the very moment you decide that you are the author of your life story, everything changes. When you say, I am responsible for my reactions, my emotions, my choices, my results, you tap into a power most people never discover. I remember talking with a gentleman after one of my seminars. He'd lost his job, his savings, and was on the verge of losing his home. He told me, Jim, I've had such bad luck. Everything's against me. I asked him, who's responsible for your life? He looked at me like I was from another planet. Well, it's not my fault the economy crashed. I said, I didn't ask whose fault it is. I asked who's responsible for your life going forward. It took him a moment. Then something changed in his eyes. I am, he said quietly. That was his turning point, not when his circumstances changed, but when he decided to take responsibility regardless of circumstances. Taking responsibility isn't about blame, it's about power. When you blame others, you give away your power. When you take responsibility, even for things that weren't your fault, you keep your power. And power is what you need to bounce back. So ask yourself, where in your life are you playing the victim? Where are you waiting for someone else to fix things for you? Where are you saying it's not fair? Fair is a place where they judge pigs, my friends. Life isn't fair, it's responsive, and it responds to those who take responsibility. The second essential step to building resilience is developing what I call a growth philosophy. Your philosophy is your view of life. It's the glasses through which you see everything. And if those glasses don't show you possibilities and problems, you'll never develop resilience. Most people have a fixed philosophy. They believe what they believe, and that's that. They're done learning, done growing. Their minds are made up, and usually made up small. But resilient people have a philosophy that embraces growth, challenges, and change. Here's the difference. When someone with a fixed philosophy faces a setback, they say, that's just how life is. Some people get lucky, some don't. When someone with a growth philosophy faces that same setback, they ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this? What opportunity is hidden here? Your philosophy creates your attitude. Your attitude creates your actions. Your actions create your results. It all starts with philosophy. So what's yours? Is it working for you? If not, here's the good news. You can change it starting today. Not next week. Not when you feel like it. Today. I had a friend who lost everything in a business failure. Over dinner, he told me, Jim, I guess I wasn't cut out to be successful. That's a philosophy, a limiting one. I asked him, is that really true? Or did you just try something that didn't work? He thought about it and said, well, I did make some specific mistakes. Exactly, I told him. You didn't fail. An approach failed, a strategy failed, but you only fail when you stop trying. He changed his philosophy from I wasn't cut out for success to I'm learning how to succeed. That simple shift changed everything for him. Within 2 years, he had built a new business twice as successful as his first. Your philosophy is a choice. Choose one that serves you. Choose one that sees obstacles as opportunities. Choose one that says, problems come not to obstruct, but to instruct. That's a resilient philosophy. The third essential step is managing your emotions. Notice I didn't say controlling your emotions or ignoring your emotions. I said managing them. There's a world of difference. Emotions are powerful forces. They can either sabotage your resilience or strengthen it. Most people let their emotions drive their actions. They feel afraid, so they retreat. They feel angry, so they lash out. They feel discouraged, so they quit. They're on an emotional roller coaster and wonder why their results are up and down too. Resilient people, on the other hand, feel the same emotions everyone else does, but they've learned to manage those emotions rather than being managed by them. They understand a fundamental truth. Emotions should be indicators, not dictators. They should inform your decisions, not make them. When you face a setback, it's natural to feel disappointed, frustrated, even afraid. Don't deny those feelings, acknowledge them. But then ask yourself, is this emotion helping me or hurting me right now? Is it moving me toward my goals or away from them? I remember coaching a woman who had been passed over for promotion 3 times. She was angry, justifiably so. But her anger was causing her to become cynical and withdrawn at work, which only made things worse. I told her, your anger is understandable, but is it useful? Is it getting you closer to where you want to be? That question changed her approach. She found ways to channel her emotions into productive action, improving her skills, building better relationships, and demonstrating her value. Within 6 months, she not only got promoted, but was offered a better position than the one she had originally wanted. The key to emotional management is the pause, that space between feeling an emotion and acting on it. In that pause lies your power. It's where you ask, what would be most effective here? What would my best self do? It's where resilience is built. So don't be afraid of your emotions. Just don't let them drive. You be the driver with emotions as passengers that you acknowledge, but don't always follow. The fourth essential step to building resilience is mastering the art of reframing. Reframing is seeing the same situation from a different and more empowering perspective. Every experience in life can be viewed through multiple frames. Think of it like a picture frame. The same picture can look drastically different depending on whether it's in an ornate gold frame or a simple black one. The picture hasn't changed, but your perception of it has. When something difficult happens, most people frame it in the most disempowering way. This is terrible. Why does this always happen to me? I'll never recover from this. That frame guarantees suffering and slow recovery. But what if you reframed it? What if instead you thought, this is challenging, but every challenge brings gifts? What could I gain from this? How might this make me stronger? Same situation, different frame, entirely different emotional impact and outcome. Let me give you an example. Years ago, I met a young entrepreneur who had invested everything in a new business. 6 months in, his main supplier went bankrupt, leaving him with unfulfilled orders and angry customers. When we spoke, I expected him to be devastated. Instead, he told me, Jim, this has been a blessing in disguise. It forced me to find new suppliers, ones that are actually better quality and lower cost. And my customers appreciate how I've handled the crisis. I've actually gained more loyalty through this problem than I had before. That's reframing at its finest. He didn't deny the difficulty. He simply chose to look for the opportunity within it. And because he looked for it, he found it. Reframing isn't positive thinking in the sense of denying reality. It's positive thinking in the sense of finding the most empowering perspective on reality. Big difference. When you master reframing, you develop what psychologists call cognitive flexibility, the ability to see multiple perspectives and choose the most helpful one. And cognitive flexibility is a cornerstone of resilience. So when life throws you a curveball, and it will, ask yourself, what's another way to look at this? What good might come from this? How might this serve me in some way? Your ability to reframe will determine how quickly you bounce back. The fifth essential step is building your resilience team. Now, this might surprise you. We often think of resilience as a solo sport, something we develop within ourselves. And while that's partly true, the most resilient people I've ever met have strong support systems. They know they can't do it all alone, and they don't try to. Your resilience team includes mentors who've been where you want to go, friends who believe in you even when you doubt yourself, family members who support your dreams, and peers who challenge you to grow. These aren't just nice relationships to have, they're essential to your ability to bounce back from setbacks. Research has consistently shown that social connection is one of the strongest predictors of resilience. People who try to go it alone typically struggle more and recover more slowly than those who have meaningful support. I once worked with a businessman who prided himself on being self-made. I don't need anybody, say. Then his company faced a major lawsuit that threatened everything he'd built. He tried to handle it all himself, the legal issues, the business implications, the emotional toll. He was drowning. When he finally reached out for support to legal experts, to other business owners who'd faced similar challenges, to friends who could provide emotional support, his whole experience changed. The situation was still difficult, but he was no longer facing it alone, and that made all the difference in his ability to weather the storm. Who's on your resilience team? Who do you call when you're facing a challenge? Who gives you honest feedback? Who believes in you when you forget to believe in yourself? If your list is short, expanding it needs to be a priority. And remember, building your resilience team isn't just about who you can lean on, it's also about who you can lift up. Being there for others strengthens your own resilience. It reminds you of your capabilities and puts your own challenges in perspective. Some of the most resilient people I know are also the most generous with their time and support. So reach out, connect, ask for help when you need it, and offer it when others do. No one builds resilience in isolation. The sixth essential step is developing what I call resilient routines. Your daily habits either build your resilience or erode it. There's no neutral ground here. Resilience isn't just mental, it's physical, emotional, and spiritual too. How you sleep, what you eat, how you move your body, what you feed your mind, all of these affect your ability to bounce back from challenges. Most people underestimate the impact of their daily routines. They stay up late watching television, then wonder why they don't have the energy to tackle problems effectively. They consume a steady diet of negative news, then wonder why they feel pessimistic about their future. They neglect exercise, meditation, or prayer, then wonder why they lack emotional stability when facing setbacks. Resilient people are intentional about their routines. They know that resilience is built in the quiet moments before it's tested in the loud ones. They prepare their minds and bodies for challenges before those challenges arrive. I remember meeting with a CEO who ran a billion-dollar company through some very turbulent times. I asked him how he stayed so calm under pressure. His answer surprised me. "I swim every morning at 5:30, he said. "No matter what's happening in the business, I never miss my swim. It gives me time to think, clears my head, and reminds me that I can push through discomfort." Some of my best business solutions have come to me during those morning laps. His resilience wasn't magic or inborn. It was methodically built through daily practice. What are your resilient routines? Do you have practices that center you, strengthen you, and prepare you for life's inevitable challenges? If not, start small. Maybe it's 10 minutes of meditation each morning. Maybe it's a walk in nature each evening. Maybe it's writing in a gratitude journal before bed. The specific routines matter less than their consistency. Remember, resilience isn't built in the midst of crisis. It's built in the mundane moments of daily discipline. The habits that seem small today compound over time to create either fragility or strength. The seventh and final essential step to building a resilient mindset is practicing purposeful perseverance. Notice I didn't just say perseverance. I said purposeful perseverance. There's a critical distinction. Blind perseverance, pushing ahead regardless of results or feedback, isn't resilience. It's stubbornness. Purposeful perseverance means persisting toward your goals while remaining flexible about your methods. It means keeping your eyes on the horizon but being willing to take a different path to get there. Resilient people don't give up on their dreams, but they're willing to adjust their approaches based on what's working and what isn't. They persevere with purpose, wisdom, and adaptability. I once mentored a writer who had received 57 rejection letters for her first book. 57. Most people would have given up long before that. When I asked why she kept going, she said something profound. "I'm committed to sharing my message, not to any particular way of sharing it." She explained that each rejection taught her something about her writing, her audience, or the publishing industry. She used that feedback to refine her approach. Her 58th submission was accepted, and that book went on to become a bestseller. That's purposeful perseverance, holding tight to the goal but loosely to the method. When you face setbacks, and you will ask yourself, do I need to change my goal or just my approach? Is this a sign to quit or an opportunity to adjust and improve? Most of the time, you don't need a new destination. You just need a new route. Purposeful perseverance also means knowing the why behind your efforts. When you're deeply connected to why you're pursuing a goal, temporary setbacks become more manageable. Your purpose fuels your persistence. So let's bring these 7 steps together. Building a resilient mindset requires taking full responsibility for your life, developing a growth philosophy, managing your emotions, mastering the art of reframing, building your resilience team, developing resilient routines, and practicing purposeful perseverance. These aren't sequential steps, they're simultaneous practices. You don't complete one and move to the next. You work on all of them continuously throughout your life. And here's what I've observed after decades of studying success. The people who master these 7 practices don't just survive life's challenges. They thrive because of them. They turn obstacles into opportunities. They use adversity as a catalyst for growth. They become stronger at the broken places. Let me share something personal with you. When I was younger, I thought resilience meant never getting knocked down. I've since learned that true resilience isn't about avoiding falls, it's about how you rise afterward. It's not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of adaptability. It's not about having an easy life, but about building a strong inner life that can handle whatever comes your way. The beauty of resilience is that it compounds over time. Each challenge you overcome builds confidence for the next one. Each setback you bounce back from develops muscles for future recovery. You become not just who you were before the difficulty, but someone stronger, wiser, and more capable because of it. I've seen this transformation countless times. The employee who lost his job and then started a business that employed hundreds. The woman who faced a health crisis and then became an advocate who helped thousands. The entrepreneur whose first 3 businesses failed before the 4th changed an industry. These aren't exceptional stories, they're the natural results of developing a resilient mindset. And here's what gives me hope for you: resilience can be learned. It's not a fixed trait that some people have and others don't. It's a set of skills, habits, and perspectives that anyone can develop with practice and persistence. Start where you are. If taking full responsibility feels overwhelming, begin with one area of your life. If reframing doesn't come naturally, practice with small annoyances before tackling major setbacks. If your resilience team is small, reach out to one new person this week. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. Remember, too, that resilience isn't just about how you handle the big crises. It's about how you approach everyday challenges. Do you see problems as burdens or as chances to grow? Do you view criticism as an attack or as valuable feedback? Do you treat obstacles as stop signs or as detours? Your answers reveal your current resilience level and show you where to focus your development efforts. I believe we're living in times that demand greater resilience than ever before. Change is accelerating. Uncertainty is increasing. The skills that brought success yesterday may not work tomorrow. In this environment, it's not the strongest or the smartest who thrive, it's the most adaptable, the most resilient. The good news is that the same challenges that demand resilience also build it, if you approach them with the right mindset. Every difficult conversation, every unexpected obstacle, every disappointment is an opportunity to strengthen your resilience muscles. Don't waste these opportunities. Don't just get through them, grow through them. Think about the hardest thing you're facing right now. What if that very challenge is exactly what you need to develop the resilience required for your next level of success? What if years from now you look back on this period as the turning point when you became the person you were meant to be? I've found that life often gives us what we need, not what we want. And sometimes what we need is a challenge that forces us to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Let me tell you about a conversation I had with a young man who had faced more adversity by age 30 than most people face in a lifetime. He had grown up in poverty, lost his parents as a teenager, and faced a serious health crisis in his 20s. When I asked him how he maintained such a positive outlook, he said, "I've learned that storms don't last forever, but the strength you gain from weathering them does." What wisdom! The storms in your life, the layoffs, the rejections, the failures, the losses, they're temporary. But the resilience you develop by facing them, that's permanent. That's yours to keep. Some of you might be thinking, "But Jim, you don't understand my situation. It's really tough right now." And you're right. I don't know your specific circumstances, but I do know this. You have more capacity for resilience than you realize. You've already overcome challenges that once seemed impossible. You've already bounced back from setbacks that once seemed devastating. You are already more resilient than you give yourself credit for. The question isn't whether you have the capacity for resilience. You do. The question is whether you'll consciously develop it, practice it, and strengthen it. Will you take these 7 steps and make them part of your daily life? Will you commit to building a mindset that can weather any storm? Because here's the truth, life will test your resilience whether you're prepared or not. Challenges don't ask permission before they arrive. They don't check if it's a convenient time for you. They simply come. And when they do, you'll respond with either the resilience you've built or the fragility you've allowed by default. I encourage you to choose resilience. Choose to take full responsibility for your life, to develop a growth philosophy, to manage your emotions, to master reframing, to build your resilience team, to develop resilient routines, and to practice purposeful perseverance. These choices won't make your life easier, at least not immediately, but they will make you stronger. And eventually, what once seemed impossibly difficult becomes merely challenging. What was challenging becomes manageable. What was manageable becomes easy. That's the power of a resilient mindset. You know, I've had the privilege of working with people from all walks of life, from CEOs to single parents, from elite athletes to those overcoming addiction. And I've noticed something fascinating. The circumstances that break some people make others. The difference isn't in the challenges they face, but in how they face them. Take 2 employees who get laid off from the same company on the same day. One falls into despair, blames the economy or management, and spends months in bitter resentment before reluctantly looking for another job. The other acknowledges the pain, takes a few days to process it, then sees it as an opportunity to find work more aligned with their values and skills. Same external event, radically different responses and outcomes. Or consider 2 entrepreneurs whose businesses fail. One concludes they're not cut out for business ownership and retreats to the safety of traditional employment. The other analyzes what went wrong, learns crucial lessons, and applies those insights to their next venture, which succeeds precisely because of what they learned from failure. Again, same external circumstance, different internal response. What I'm describing isn't positive thinking in some superficial sense. It's positive responding, taking whatever happens and finding a way to use it for your growth. It's about being both realistic about your circumstances and optimistic about your capacity to handle them. This balance of realism and optimism is crucial for resilience. Pure realism without optimism can lead to cynicism and surrender. Pure optimism without realism can lead to disappointment and disillusionment. But when you combine clear-eyed realism about your challenges with genuine optimism about your ability to overcome them, you create a resilient mindset that can navigate any situation. I often think of resilience as similar to physical fitness. You don't develop physical strength by avoiding all strain and exertion. On the contrary, you build muscle by deliberately exposing yourself to resistance and then recovering from it. The process of overcoming resistance is what creates strength. Mental and emotional resilience works the same way. The challenges you face, the resistance in your life, are actually building your resilience muscles, but only if you respond to them properly. Just as you can lift weights with poor form and injure yourself rather than get stronger, you can face life's challenges with poor mental form and become weaker rather than more resilient. That's why these 7 steps matter so much. They're like proper form for building resilience. They ensure that the inevitable challenges of life make you stronger, not broken. Let's go a bit deeper into each step, because understanding isn't enough. Application is what creates transformation. When I talk about taking full responsibility for your life, I don't mean taking blame for things outside your control. I mean taking ownership of your responses to everything that happens. There's a subtle but crucial distinction between responding and reacting. Reacting is automatic and often unconscious. Responding is intentional and chosen. Most people react to life's challenges based on conditioning, habit, or emotion. Resilient people pause, consider options, and consciously choose their response. They say, I may not control what happens to me, but I always control what happens within me and through me. This mindset shift from victim to creator, from passenger to driver, is fundamental to resilience. Without it, the other steps won't have a foundation to build upon. As for developing a growth philosophy, this goes beyond just believing you can improve. It's about seeing every experience, especially difficult ones, as opportunities for learning and development. People with fixed mindsets ask, why is this happening to me? People with growth mindsets ask, what is this teaching me? Your philosophy isn't just what you say you believe, it's what your actions show you believe. Do you seek out challenges or avoid them? Do you persist in the face of setbacks or give up? Do you welcome feedback or defend against it? The answers reveal your true philosophy. Managing your emotions effectively doesn't mean suppressing them. Emotions contain valuable information. Anger often signals that a boundary has been crossed. Fear often highlights something important to you that's at risk. Sadness often reveals what you value that has been lost. The key is to neither repress these emotions nor let them dictate your actions. Instead, acknowledge them, understand their message, and then choose your response based on your values and goals rather than the emotion of the moment. This emotional intelligence is essential for resilience because challenges always trigger emotions. If you can't manage those emotions, they'll manage you, and likely not in directions that serve your long-term interests. The art of reframing is particularly powerful during times of unexpected change or loss. When you lose something, a job, a relationship, an opportunity, it's natural to focus on what's gone. Reframing asks you to also consider what remains and what might now be possible that wasn't before. I remember working with a woman who had built her entire career in an industry that was rapidly becoming obsolete due to technological change. She initially framed this as a disaster. Everything I've worked for is disappearing. With some guidance, she reframed it. My industry expertise combined with adaptability to now technology makes me uniquely valuable during this transition. That reframe led her to position herself as a bridge between old and new approaches, ultimately advancing her career rather than ending it. Building your resilience team is about quality, not quantity. You don't need dozens of supporters, you need the right ones. Ideally, your team includes people who offer different types of support, emotional encouragement, honest feedback, practical help, and inspirational example. Be intentional about cultivating these relationships. Don't wait until you're in crisis to build your support network. And remember that resilience teams work both ways. You give support as well as receive it. Often helping others through their challenges builds your own resilience for when you face similar situations. Regarding resilient routines, consistency matters more than intensity. A daily 5-minute meditation practice is more powerful for building resilience than an occasional weekend retreat. Small, consistent deposits into your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bank accounts compound over time, creating reserves you can draw on when challenges arise. Pay particular attention to practices that develop your capacity for discomfort. Modern life often shields us from discomfort, leaving us unprepared for inevitable difficulties. Voluntarily engaging in challenging activities, whether physical, intellectual, or emotional, builds your discomfort tolerance, a key component of resilience. Finally, purposeful perseverance requires both determination and discernment. Determination keeps you moving forward despite obstacles. Discernment helps you recognize when to adjust your approach based on results and feedback. The balance between these two qualities is crucial. Too much determination without discernment leads to wasted effort on unproductive paths. Too much discernment without determination leads to giving up at the first sign of difficulty. Resilient people cultivate both, the grit to keep going and the wisdom to know when to adjust course. Now, let me address something important. Some of you might be thinking, this all sounds good in theory, but you don't understand the magnitude of what I'm facing. And you might be right. Your challenges may indeed be extraordinary. But here's what I've observed. The principles of resilience were, regardless of the scale of the challenge. Whether you're facing a minor setback or a life-altering crisis, these 7 steps provide a framework for responding in ways that lead to growth rather than defeat. The application might look different depending on your circumstances, but the principles remain the same. In fact, some of the most resilient people I've ever met have faced truly devastating circumstances: loss of loved ones, serious illness, financial ruin, natural disasters. What sets them apart isn't that they avoid pain or grief. They feel deeply, but they don't allow those feelings to be the end of their story. They find ways to integrate their experiences, extract meaning from them, and move forward, changed but not defeated. This brings me to an important truth about resilience. It's not about bouncing back to exactly who you were before. It's about bouncing forward into who you can become because of what you've experienced. True resilience transforms you. You don't just recover, you evolve. Think about it. Would you really want to be exactly the same person after facing a significant challenge? Wouldn't you rather gain wisdom, compassion, strength, or perspective from the experience? Resilience isn't about erasing the impact of difficulties. It's about integrating them into your life story in ways that make you more, not less. I recall a conversation with a man who had lost his business during an economic downturn. Years later, after building an even more successful enterprise, I asked what he learned from the experience. "I learned that I'm not my business," he said. "When my first company failed, I thought I was a failure. Now I know better. I am more than what I do or what I own. That knowledge gives me a freedom I never had before, even when I was financially successful." His resilience didn't just return him to his previous state. It transformed him into someone with a deeper understanding of himself and what truly matters. That's the power of resilient response to adversity. As we near the end of our time together, I want to emphasize that building a resilient mindset is not a one-time achievement, but a lifelong practice. You don't arrive at resilience, you cultivate it day by day, challenge by challenge. And just when you think you've mastered it, life will present you with a new test that requires you to develop even greater capacity. That's actually good news. It means you can always become more resilient, no matter where you are today. Whether you're just beginning to develop these skills or have been practicing them for years, there's always another level of growth available to you. Remember that resilience, like most valuable qualities, is forged in difficulty. Don't wish for an easy life, wish for the strength to handle a challenging one. Don't pray for fewer problems, pray for more wisdom. Don't seek circumstances that require less of you. Seek to become someone who can handle more. The rewards of developing a resilient mindset extend far beyond merely coping with challenges. Resilient people tend to experience greater life satisfaction, better health outcomes, stronger relationships, and more meaningful achievements. Not because they face fewer difficulties, but because they respond to difficulties in ways that generate growth rather than defeat. So let me challenge you, starting today, commit to these 7 steps. Take full responsibility for your life. Develop a growth philosophy. Manage your emotions effectively. Master the art of reframing. Build your resilience team. Establish resilient routines. Practice purposeful perseverance. Begin with one area where you know you need to strengthen your resilience. Perhaps it's taking responsibility in a situation where you've been blaming others. Perhaps it's reframing a current challenge that you've been viewing as purely negative. Perhaps it's reaching out to build your support network or establishing a daily practice that builds your mental and emotional fitness. Whatever you choose, take action today. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when circumstances improve. Today, because the best time to build resilience is before you desperately need it. And know this, you are capable of far more resilience than you might believe. Within you lies the capacity to face whatever comes your way with courage, wisdom, and an unwavering spirit. That capacity may be dormant, untested, or underdeveloped, but it's there, waiting to be awakened and strengthened. Life will provide the challenges that test your resilience. Your job is to prepare yourself to meet those challenges in ways that make you stronger, not broken. The 7 steps I've shared today are your preparation, your training for the inevitable tests life brings. I'll leave you with one final thought. Years ago, I visited a forest that had recently experienced a wildfire. The destruction was heartbreaking: charred trees, ash-covered ground, an eerie silence where there had once been vibrant life. But my guide pointed out something remarkable. Already new growth was emerging from the blackened soil. Certain seeds, he explained, actually require the intense heat of fire to open and germinate. Without the fire, they remain dormant indefinitely. That forest reminded me of human resilience. Sometimes the most devastating experiences release possibilities within us that might otherwise have remained forever dormant. Sometimes we discover strengths, insights, and capacities precisely because we're forced to by circumstances that initially appear wholly negative. The question isn't whether you'll face fires in your life. You will. The question is what will emerge from those experiences. Will you allow them to destroy your hope and limit your future? Or will you use them as catalysts for new growth, new possibilities, and new yourself? The choice, as always, is yours. Choose resilience. Choose growth. Choose to see challenges not as punishments, but as opportunities. Choose to build a mindset that transforms obstacles into stepping stones toward becoming your best self. Thank you for your attention today. Now go apply these principles and watch how they transform not just how you handle difficulties, but how you experience life itself. The resilient mindset you build today will serve you for a lifetime of meaningful achievement and fulfillment, regardless of what challenges come your way.